Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to some more Faceit League action. It has been a long Season 7. These teams have been fighting tooth or nail to get to this point, and when it comes to South America, it all ends right here tonight. It's going to be DhillPatos, your number 1 overall seed, taking on Caminhoneiro, the number 3 seed, and it is going to be a fantastic battle, a rematch of the upper finals where it ended up being a map 5 reverse sweep for the Ducks decks, and I'm excited to see how this goes because Truck Vlog in this same situation that they had to face in the lower finals, they broke the curse. They fought back and they stopped that fight back that Agave Garfo was starting to bring their way.
Yeah, Agave Garfo, especially after that first map win there, they looked like a team that we were starting to see the same kind of mistakes we saw from Caminhoneiro in the upper bracket finals when they faced off against DhillPatos. But like you said, they bounced back that next map, really made it look like it was just a small little misstep for them there on that third map last night. That fourth map was nothing but theirs for the most part. I think they got out to like a 122-meter lead on Runasapi before we even saw Agave Garfo get anything on their side there. Caminhoneiro coming in here with a lot of fire after playing a game just last night. DhillPatos, though, been sitting on the sidelines now for about a week, Hunter, but Hunter, there could be some history made here tonight in the South American tier. DhillPatos looking to be the first team to run the table, both regular season and playoffs. 2 times before there have been teams that have gone into the postseason as undefeated. However, while both those teams ended up winning it all, they both ended up losing in the upper bracket finals. DhillPatos right now looking to be the only team in South American Masters tier history to have an undefeated season. Caminhoneiro trying to play a little bit of spoiler here, and definitely what we saw from that upper bracket finals. They have what it takes, but they cannot flip the switch on themselves like we saw in that upper bracket finals.
Exactly. It was an entire tale of 2 different games. That felt like it was a different Caminhoneiro in those first 2 maps compared to those last 3, and subsequently you could say the exact same thing for DhillPatos in that situation, being able to fight back from being down in that situation. And you could argue, oh, they would have been able to bounce back against Garfo. There are no certainties in this division, not in the absolute slightest. It does not exist. But these teams are here now. They have fought hard to get to this position right here. And truly, I don't go into this thinking there is a favorite in this game, because we saw both teams kind of sweep the table in their own right in the halves of that respective game. So it doesn't feel like there is someone that's like, yeah, this is your favorite right here. This is who I think is going to run the table. This is going to come down to if Caminhoneiro come and have that same level of momentum, is DhillPatos going to be able to replicate stopping them once more?
I mean, especially with it being 1 extra map needed to win here tonight, it might be the case where, hey, that does happen. Caminhoneiro might be able to kind of flip that switch if we get back to that point. But if they go up 3-0 and we're going into map 7 with it being 3-3, you really have to start questioning some other stuff going on with the team, probably mentally as well. But again, a lot of that is speculation here, Hunter. Both these teams throughout the regular season, I mean, me and you coming into the season really talked about DhillPatos as being by far probably the favorite for this region based off what happened last season with Factor X. Yeah, a lot of those players left there. Some of them went to North America, some went to North America Masters, some of them went to North America Expert, but you still have a core here from that Factor X team from last year, and the pieces they added, Hunter, they look incredibly strong throughout the entire season, and it's not a surprise to see him here. Maybe a surprise to see him undefeated considering what we have seen in South America in the past, but undefeated is nothing to scoff at. Caminhoneiro, though, this has been a team that's been together, I feel like, for a very long time, maybe under some different names. They add a piece here or there, but this is a team that is very, very solid. And me and you were very surprised by them. We did not necessarily know a lot about this team other than the names on it coming into this season. Every time we watched them, we were mightily impressed, time after time after time again. And now they're here in the grand finals. And first time since me and you started covering Faceit League here back in Season 5 that we saw a team go down to that lower bracket in that lower bracket finals and be able to have a rematch here in the grand finals.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all that often. It's a fantastic bounce back because, again, it felt like it was starting to duplicate that original series. Caminhoneiro ended up going up 2-0, and Agave Garfo honestly dominated that entire King's Row map. It started fighting back, but what did they do? They made a swap. They brought Connie in on tank, and it felt like a bulldoze for a majority of that map. They were able to finish it, I think, with about like 2 minutes left on the clock, I'm pretty sure, and finish things up in very convincing fashion. But hey, DhillPatos, due to being the #1 seed, or more specifically, being the team to make it through the upper finals, they get first selection on this map, as well as the first ban. We do know we're going to be heading over to Ilios to get things started away. And now, when we worry about the ban situation, it feels like we have gone through a very specific set of bans, it feels like, in terms of what these teams are comfortable running and what they're not. Tizzy has a lot of comfortability in that tank line to pull out a lot of different things. That hazard included, this is a situation where perhaps they try to protect all of those options for Tizzy to be able to utilize.
Yeah, absolutely here. And I think we saw this last time these two teams met in the upper bracket finals, where DhillPatos, they banned out a support, and Caminhoneiro came right back in and banned out D.Va, a tank that we really know Tizzy really well for. Granted, they played a good Zarya in that map, but they started to get a little bit outclassed by Livico on the other side. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Patos decide to ban out here with their first ban here in the grand finals, because they could immediately just say, hey, we're going to protect at least a tank this time around, maybe get rid of the Zarya, force a little bit of dive action on this map. And I think that would be something very favorable for them, because, yeah, we know Livico's good on a lot of tanks. Or in the series last night, Hunter, I don't feel like we saw them play any dive at all.
Yeah, we didn't really see a whole lot of it. It was this transition away from dive, which I do understand. We have seen a lot of teams kind of accomplish going down this route of Zarya, of Vendetta, Venture, and some lights as well. But we double down on that, because if you look here, we are indeed on the money. We are ball knowers. The Zarya has been taken out here first. It's going to protect all of Tizzy picks. And honestly, it gets rid of a really good utility tool, because we have seen that Zarya pair up with these lethal DPS, and it can be really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and like I said, without the Zarya there now for Livico, there's still other options, but we haven't seen them play dive. At least yesterday, we did not see him play dive at all against Agave Garfo. So now it's up to Caminhoneiro to say, okay, well, who do we get rid of here? Do you go after support line? I feel like that's always a very safe bet to do. You get rid of Lucio, you get rid of the Kiri, maybe you even get rid of Juno, because I feel like DhillPatos was one of those teams that, even if the Lucio wasn't banned, Juno was definitely on their side more often than not here. But Vlog, we'll figure out what their ban is here in a brief moment as the time does run out. But Hunter, I mean, again, it's been a great season here of Faceit Masters tier, especially here in South America. And these two teams, I think, even though it's very cliche to say, by far, I think have been the best two teams this entire season.
Yeah, I think it's really confident to say that, because these are the two teams that never had a genuine slump of any kind. Obviously, Agave Garfo struggled pretty early on in the season, and Cosmic just wasn't able to get the same level of success that they got. Oh, there's an ooh going on here in the chat.
Connie's
I know. Yeah,
one.
Connie is just starting straight up. So, context of what we said before, Connie came in for map 4 during the Vlog de Caminhoneiro and Agave Garfo game, and that was the final map. Now they're opting to keep Connie in on the first map, but let's make one thing very clear here. Connie came in and played the Zarya during that game. The Zarya is banned for this first map.
Yeah, and it kind of lets you know that maybe Connie is a little bit better on those dive tanks that you probably expect to see ran here on Ilios right now. Because like I said, we did not see Livico play dive, and you have two tanks for a reason. I believe both these teams have two tanks for a reason here right now, and you're going to see it here early for Vlad de Caminhoneiro. And again, this was DhillPatos, I think, maybe learning from their mistakes in the first time these two teams met in the upper bracket finals, because if you don't remember, when these two teams met in the regular season, it was actually a forfeit victory for DhillPatos. So the game never happened here right now. So I think these are smart bans, both sides, to get rid of the Brig here. Normally you kind of see it with that dive backline, but it's really just trying to force the teams, I think, into playing something like a Lucio, something like a Kiri here instead, because I think both teams kind of understand how to work around them here. The Brig might just provide a little bit more pressure, especially to someone like Vlad de Caminhoneiro, who might want to play a little bit slower on their dives.
It feels like they will want to in a situation like this, and with something like the Brig removed, it might incentivize the play to be a little bit faster, or more so, I think, to take away an option of sustainability from the backline. We've seen the Brig come in quite a number of times in previous affairs. It's not like the popular pick by any means, but Brig is a really solid selection if you decide to put it with something like the Ana or the Juno, and you have that extra ability to where I don't have to worry as much about my backline. We're gonna obviously we know that's not real. Well, obviously
It's
people are
not
just
real,
struggling to
no.
get invited. So take
It's
everything
Nitro
with
again.
salt.
It happened yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's the exact same situation. So we're gonna have to wait for that to happen again.
Yeah, so if you missed the series yesterday between Vladi Caminhoneiro and Agave Garfo in that lower bracket finals, we had a problem getting people into the lobby the first time around. Nitro and I believe Rico were two people from Vladi Caminhoneiro who did not get in. So right now, if you were to look over at the Faceit page, webpage, you would see this is technically being considered a 4-0 forfeit victory for DhillPatos, but that is definitely not the case. They're probably already contacting an admin, and if not, we definitely do know that there's more than likely a better chance that a manual lobby will be made, as it has happened a lot in the past here in the South American region.
Yeah, it's just been a thing, especially with the playoffs, not just for South America, but for every region, having their own struggles with that. So hopefully everything will get figured out here pretty soon. They eventually got it figured out last time. It took a little bit of divine intervention, we'll call it, but everything did get squared away. Something we can do in the meanwhile is kind of talk about the journey of these two teams a little bit as well, because obviously they both made it this far into the grand finals, but I feel like their journeys were very different in a lot of ways. Kind of, for instance, as I'll just pull up the Liquipedia and make our lives really easy in this sense right here. But DhillPatos did go undefeated in the regular season, but the one thing you always have to know is while they're here, they're undefeated. A number of those games did unfortunately come off the back of forfeits. I believe at least 4 of those games ended up. Yeah, it was 5 straight. Yeah.
Every game after December 17th, that was their last played game in the regular season. They did not play again up until the first round of the playoffs. Every game after the new year was a forfeit victory for them in the regular season. And Hunter, me and you came in talking to the playoffs with that game against Agave Garfo, saying against Cosmos, saying, hey, Cosmos took them a distance last time they met. There's going to probably be a little bit of rust for the Patos. But man, there was no rust at all.
Yeah, the rust just did not exist. We'll show kind of all of the matches as they've happened. I'll cut over to that. But this has kind of been the frequency of how things have gone. Vladi Caminhoneiro, the only losses they receive, which includes that forfeit loss to DhillPatos early on the season, the only other game they lost was to Agave Garfo. Went to a map 5, and Garfo ended up getting a much-needed win over them, by the way. It was not do or die, but it would have put a lot more pressure on them during that game of Faka, which, of course, shout out to Faka for putting up an amazing fight this season. We've kind of been going down this trend of seeing a lot of these teams that maybe don't have the best initial season. They bounce back. They get even stronger. I think Faka was a good example of that. I just wanted to quickly shout that out because it deserves shouting out.
Yeah, and the cutlery org of Faka, Garfo, and Coher, I know Coher eventually forfeited the entire season because I believe they forfeited more than games that they were allowed to. Definitely, it's a group that we've seen get better and better and better. Coher, the newest team in Faka, they struggled immensely last season. Almost made playoffs this season. Sort of reminds us of Garfo when we started in season 5. Struggled season 5, barely made playoffs season 6. And then we're a team that we were talking about as maybe, at least to me, a dark horse at winning the entire thing here in season 7. But again, that cutlery org is a really, really fun group of people. And looks like we're getting back into it now, going back through with should be very quickly on maps and bans, and they'll be right back to the action.
Yep, hopefully everything should just go directly as it was before. The bans should remain the exact same, and we'll see if the lobby will work this time. Obviously, there's absolutely no promise on what will or will not happen, but hopefully everything will be squared away. Sometimes the invites, don't always register. I think it might be an issue, potentially, whether it is the lobbies themselves, with the client of Overwatch, potentially, due to all the changes that have come into effect. That's a possibility, but anything at that point is just speculation. We do not work for Blizzard. We do not know what is going on behind the scenes. We can only just sit here and say, this is probably why.
Yeah, and hey, while we wait for the lobby to get started back up here again, let us remind everyone who is watching. Both myself and Hunter are streaming this game here. And I imagine most of you are probably watching on Hunter's stream right here. No big deal. But hey, if you scroll below our streams, you can connect your Faceit account here to Twitch. And when you do that, you'll have the chance to get Faceit point drops throughout the remainder of the stream here tonight and tomorrow. But this is mine and Hunter's last Faceit game of the season here. And so you have only one more chance from us to get those drops here tonight.
Yeah, 100%. Last opportunity. They do run into tomorrow, and I believe there are some people that obviously will be streaming tomorrow and getting their points away. But yeah, it'll be the last chance for us here for this season, up until we get into everything with the LCQ and Season 8, when things will roll on through that. But when it comes to Season 7 for us, for all these teams here in South America, it's going to end today, and it's all going to start over here in Ilios. And again, DhillPatos map selection as well as their first ban coming through. We'll see how both these teams start, because Log de Caminhoneiro, more than any other team, knows how to get off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely here. They seem to really take the momentum fast here. They want to get off to a really good start here, and they want to play fast as well. They struggled in the one map that really, yesterday, Agave Garfo got off to a decently good start. I mean, it wasn't necessarily like they stopped them completely on Kings Row, but that was the only map where Agave Garfo really got anything going from the start here. But coming in now, you look at the composition, this is kind of what I expect to see here without the Zarya being there for Vlad de Caminhoneiro. You see Connie come in, a little bit more experience on the dive tanks. Going to be going up against a really tough and really, I think, maybe the best tank here in the tier, in the region, in Tizzy on the side of DhillPatos. But it's going to be really interesting to watch throughout the night here, everyone. These support lines are not afraid to get their hands dirty at all. Expect to see them play aggressive. Expect to see their name in the kill feed. And you know, if you've been watching the South American region throughout the entire season, you know how deadly these DPS players are as well. They're just as good as their supports, maybe even a little, actually no, they're a lot better than their supports at getting kills. So always expect them to find those off angles to find the perfect shot, especially Bert and Nitro. Bert already on top of the lighthouse here, getting set up on the sprayer. That's kind of been a favorite pick here for DhillPatos throughout the entirety of the season, while Nitro, we've seen him pick the sprayer from time to time, but definitely prefers the Cassie in some situations.
Yeah, let's make it very clear. All 10 players on this team right now are lethal, and Rico, especially is the case, boop kill over onto Ludwig to get things going. That's going to settle this first fight away. Vlog de Caminhoneiro taking the first fight, but Tizzy does get out with the Mac, should get a quick restart here.
But that's exactly what we were talking about here. Vlog de Caminhoneiro, they look good when they got off to fast start. They got off to a really fast start there, already have the point, and won a team fight very, very quickly. Those first two picks came basically one after another right there, forcing DhillPatos to kind of quickly decide whether or not they want to engage in the fight or just kind of back out. Well, most of them were not given the opportunity to back out here, as you already see Ludwig and Lucas going at each other here. This battle of vendettas here is going to be really fun to watch throughout the night, Hunter.
Yeah, 100% it is, but Nitro is the first one down, so it is going to put a little bit of a wedge in the machine right there, but Lucas is doing a good job keeping them alive. Eventually will go down as Tizzy already having gotten to this fight. Everyone is desperately low right now, so Bert might have to try to respond here in a minute. Does have that bolo shot ready to go as Connie knocked out of the mech and subsequently booped off the map as 42%, and again, importantly, Tizzy keeps the mech.
Tizzy keeps the mech. I mean, again, the support staying alive there for DhillPatos was huge for them. But now look at the ultimates going on here. Bert already has a bullet. Tizzy's not that far away from bomb here. So Bert, again, they've been very aggressive with these bullets in the past throughout the playoffs here, Hunter. So expect to see that bullet come out the moment they see probably Connie just dive onto someone else, leaving that backline wide open. If it finds on someone like Nitro, you could really expect to see a pick come from it.
100% you could, and now bolo shot thrown out over onto Rico, who's incredibly low. Does not drop though, so now this is going to open the door for a potential fight back here. Nitro is about to have this Deadeye around the corner, but importantly so, Contender Rush is going to be online for Froakie first. Tizzy knocked out of the bomb. We have the double remake coming through, and Tizzy, unfortunately, not able to get back in. This is already looking like stall territory here when it comes to DhillPatos, and on top of that, they're not really going to stall. They're just trying to get everybody out alive.
No, I like that there from DhillPatos. No reason to really stall out there. You didn't have your tank. I don't think it's necessarily worth it either. You look at what you're coming back into here now. You're going to have your Kitsune Rush. You're going to have your beat. Froakie used a Kitsune Rush last fight here, and both bombs came out from each side here. Rico, though, has beat to really sustain Vlog early on, but Lucas not going to be able to get anything there.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush going to be thrown out. Beat used beforehand to kind of sustain it through, and now Sox right around the corner from their own. Wonder whether or not they're going to use it, but they're going to get the flip for free in this situation right here, and now they're going to run everybody down. Ludwig, though, in such a rough position. Tizzy able to be there for the rescue to help sustain things out a little bit more. There's so much chaos that is being thrown out. Hey, Tizzy is a big part of why there's this constant thorn in the side of Truck Vlog.
Connie able to get out there with their mech is huge. Tizzy actually stole the large health pack they were going for there right before their eyes. But now, again, Hunter, Sox still has their beat. Ludwig has Thundering Blade. Same thing with Lucas here. Again, that Thundering Blade is a very hit or miss kind of ultimate here. You're normally looking for one at the best. If you find anything more than that, it's a big bonus. Beat and Thundering Blade out from the other side there from DhillPatos.
Big investment, but it's going to have some big results. And if they get some light kills, it would be massive. But Connie looks to be getting out of here alive. So a retouch is possible. It will not be easy, though.
It will not be easy. And really, you're looking at Rico probably to get here just by wall riding all the way around the outside of the map. But at this point here, I don't think we're going to see a touch. Connie's trying to run there, but they just use all their boosts. Rico not going to get there in time. A little bit slow there from Vlog the Caminhoneiro to end out that round. And, I mean, after the fast start they had there, DhillPatos bounced right back to really make that point theirs. I mean, a good point all around for them. Looking at the stats there, I mean, pretty even across the board. Lucas, Nitro, and Rico, though, the only people in the lobby that have died 3 times. Everyone else 2 times or less here. Again, this is going to be a really back-and-forth series throughout the entire night here, especially as we head into well. And I'm looking at, I mean, I'm just looking at the damage here. Bert, almost 5,000 damage. Again, we always talk about it with how much damage you can get from a Freya, but almost kind of getting 1,000 more than I think the DPS on the other side is insane.
It is absolutely insane to produce this much damage overall. But we get into this next one right here. And now, no real change up happening. I'm not surprised. I think both teams felt like they did well in that sense during this first round. But we're going to see a different level of aggression here from Vlog the Caminhoneiro, is my guess in this situation. Because, again, Bert and Wetsu, everyone was able to get away with so much that perhaps they really shouldn't have. So you already see this rotation up through the high ground, trying to force everybody back around. But eventually, someone's got to put some bodies on this point.
Yeah, it's going to be Connie to get everything going here. Just try to get something going for Vlog the Caminhoneiro. But Tizzy on the other side going to be stalling it out a little bit as well. They will have Ludwig there to provide them some more sustainability. But, I mean, each team really waiting for the other team to make the mistake here. And that's how you kind of know these two teams are very poised. They're very good with that. But Ludwig going a little bit too far. Going to be the first one taken out.
Yeah, you see Nitro was just trying to hold down everything going on around the inside here. Just trying to make sure to hold down this area by the well. But point not capped quite yet here, so we'll see if they're going to be able to sustain through this and keep bodies on. Connie still has a full health bank right now, so it's going to be able to stall for quite a little while of time as Nitro being forced back. This time going to be the one to be taken out. Flip going to come through as we're going to see Vlog the Caminhoneiro start with the point. But depending on how things go, I don't think this is going to last all that long.
No, it's really not. I mean, you saw Ludwig come back into that fight there and immediately have an impact. And now you're seeing Vlog the Caminhoneiro really just kind of stall it out. 15% though is not necessarily the best, but that's a huge pick for Nitro coming back in. Gonna be able to find that one. However, Connie being the last one to spawn in here really negates that from any sort of advantage you could have had. Ludwig's gonna be able to throw that sword, get back here pretty quickly as well. But look at the ultimate's already online here. Bola, Kasuni, bomb. Nitro though, going fast with the Deadeye. Almost gonna get the free point because of it.
He's gonna get the free flip, and on top of that, you make Tizzy use the bomb here. Tivy's gotta get back in, but Nitro peeks slightly too far, and now is gonna be down. You've lost one of your biggest damage dealers, and now you are getting forced back further and further, but Sox is gonna decide, hey, we're going with the beat right here. Rico doesn't have theirs available, had to use it just a little bit earlier and gets taken down. And without this extra bit of sustainability, things are going to fall apart once again. But it's not a worst-case scenario overall. It's just a big investment for both sides. And it's going to get a little bit of something for Truck Block here. But eventually, DhillPatos should be able to finish this out right here as they'll get the flip through.
They'll get the flip. And, I mean, right now, the rest of Truck Block or Vlog Caminhoneiro just need to back out, regroup here. You have an ultimate coming into this fight. You will have a bomb. You're going to have Thundering Blade as well. Ludwig, because of the early couple deaths they've had in some fights, not necessarily as close as Lucas, but they should have it at the end of this fight as well, especially if it goes long here. Both these teams, though, again, they've been really waiting for the other team to make a mistake, overextend their boundaries here so far on well, and that's exactly what Vlog is looking for here. Same thing, though, for DhillPatos, but you have to be watching out for Ludwig. These Vendettas, they want to get in your face very fast, and sometimes they don't have a tool to get out.
Yep, and here comes that big aggression. Everyone playing towards the corner, immediately going to back out there, realizing, hey, not the place you want to be. But you're trying to build up towards these ultimates. These Thundering Blades are about to both be available. We'll see if Lucas or Ludwig wants to be super aggressive with it. And for the time being, the answer is no. They're more than willing to kind of let things play out naturally, not having to use them. But you take the trade out. a bunch of that healing going to be gone as a result. And with that being the case, Tizzy's just not going to be able to sustain through as Ludwig's going to go with this. Is going to send it down, gets rid of Nitro. They're keeping the chances alive, but now the double B thrown in. Both teams want to win this desperately, and at this point, if DhillPatos win it, they should have this locked in.
Yeah, this is a huge investment now from Vlog to Caminhoneiro. Southern Blade coming out from Lucas, not going to be able to find anything. Bolo out from Burt, not going to be able to do the job either. There, Tizzy almost gets knocked into the well, but going to be able to fly back out of it and find Lucas.
Yeah, 100%, 90% on the board already. You are worried about getting any kind of touch here. It's going to have to be Connie, but you have the Kasuna Rush available. But Wetu, he's going to be able to throw theirs directly back, and there it is. Both being thrown out here. Overtime has been activated. Rough spot for Rico to be is barely going to stay up, and it's Connie who's going to get that first pick away. But Bird doesn't want to take this line down, and Tizzy doesn't want to either. 20-player kill streak for Tizzy, by the way, as they're going to keep trying to roll forward. Just Nitro and Froakie hanging around Connie, trying to harass the backline. Will be able to do so successfully, as Tizzy would love to clasp out on someone, but realizes it's just not going to be worth it.
Almost a disaster. I think almost a little bit of a disastrous fight there for Vlad de Caminhoneiro, especially with Rico investing the beat when they did to match Sox in what I would say was a losing fight there. But I mean, hey, they're able to get the point there. A couple big plays coming out there from Connie, who, I mean, dove in on their own after that Kasuna Rush came out there. Both tanks really focused straight in on the back lines while not a lot of help was coming with them here. But now, Burt, another boulder shot. Their third of this point already online. Nitro gonna have a Deadeye. Their third of this point already as well. And right now, you really need Nitro to be able to find some value with this one here. So you have to have someone just checking Tizzy out this entire time. Make sure they're not going to be able to eat anything. Not going to find anything. The Deadeye, though, is out.
Yeah, and it's just, you hide away. No one has to peek here, and Burt barely survives it initially, but eventually will be cornered due to being kind of just thrown it on their own as a result. But everyone, I think, is going to try to get out of this situation and get everybody out alive. But Ludwig has gone down, and now you're worrying about getting this touch here online. You need to try to keep Tizzy up to get the one person who can touch this safely, but they are relentlessly pushing them back, and now the overtime will at the very least go over, but it's the supports holding it down. Burt getting all of this pressure, and Nitro, he's more than happy to start cleaning up shop here. And this one should... That is a little brutal right there, and you're getting Lowy back into the fight as well. Beat is expended. That is worst case scenario. It's just Froakie and Lucas hanging around. Point flips back. Lucas gonna try to touch one more time, will get it. But unfortunately, it's not going to matter. It is a big turnaround for DhillPatos as they will take our opening map.
I mean, it goes from almost being disastrous to incredible there for Vlad de Caminhoneiro, and then it goes right back to being, it's not disastrous, it's just unfortunate. I mean, they had that fight won. They just need to clean up the supports, but I think it really came down to Web2 finding one pick on that Kiri to set everything in motion there in that fight. DhillPatos, they're not going to have the same story that we saw the last time these two teams met in the upper bracket finals. They're going to be able to take our first map of the night here tonight to put it 1-0 on the scoreboard for them. 3 more maps to go that they need, though, to be crowned as champions.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, it's going to be a long road to get to those 4 map wins that you need. But it'll be interesting to see what the response from Vlog de Caminhoneiro is going to be, because it's not like they were doing a bad job at all. Again, it's a really unfortunate DMAC off the map like that, and who knows how that would have gone elsewise, but I think they've done a really good job to get things started over here, but they need to find a way to carry that momentum forward. Now, with the Zarya being back into play, I think it falls into their hands a little bit, and they're going to take us over to Runasapi, which, reminder, this is the map that they finished with 2 minutes left on the clock against Agave Garfo last night.
And you have to remember, they also capped the first checkpoint in 1:43, the fastest thing me and you have ever seen in Hunter. And they were at 122 meters, 123 meters, you know, basically staring at the finish line at the 7-minute mark. I mean, they had that map handily in the bag pretty early on. It just took them a little bit. But again, 50-50 Overwatch. We talk about all the time. Vlog will have the first ban here. I feel like the wrong ban to do here would be a little bit of a reactionary ban and banning out the Diva. I feel like you go after that DPS line because honestly, I think getting rid of the Freya might be a really good option here for Vlad de Caminhoneiro. You know, Burt likes to play it, force him back onto something like that. Cassie, wants to get rid of the Vendettas here instead.
I don't hate it at the end of the day. I feel like while both teams are running it, I think Lowood was getting just a little bit more value on it. And it's not something you potentially want to deal with. We could see a potential route because I believe we saw this earlier on. that we ended up seeing the combination with the Zarya and the Vendetta before. It was this constant act of pushing the tank into the lineup every time with help from that bubbled Venture that just made it really difficult for Agave Garfo to deal with in a lot of those situations. But I like it. I think it's a solid pick. And like you said, it's not an overreaction in this situation because there are crucial bans that make sense, but there are time and places where I think they're going to be more useful.
Yeah, especially with this being a first of 4 rather than the first of 3 that all the teams have been used to throughout the entirety of the season and the entirety of the postseason so far. It being a first of 4 means you might want to hold a ban in your back pocket for later on in this series. So Hunter, like we said, both these teams, they have subs. We know Vlog de Caminheiro has a tank sub. We've already seen it here tonight. Luvico's still on the bench. Probably, I would say, is their starter, but Connie just as good. And I thought they did a good job that first map. I think they just struggled a little bit into maybe the pressure coming out there from, I think, Bert, for the most part, there on DhillPatos. Laura and Noel are your subs on the other side for DhillPatos here. And I expect to see them at some point throughout this series here tonight as well. But DhillPatos' ban is in. It's going to be Kiriko coming out from them here as we head into our second map of the night.
Yeah, I don't blame that at all. I think that Kiriko is something that goes really well with the Zarya, and I feel like we are almost certain that we're going to see the Kanai Zarya in this instance, but it's going to force the pace to not necessarily slow down, but it gets rid of those contributing factors that allows you to pair with something like a Lucio. That's just how things generally run in this situation, but obviously we'll see what is going to be the case. Vlog de Caminheiro hoping to fight back here and tie things up, because even if you are in a first 4 situation, it's still just as difficult to come back being down 2-0.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in soccer, again, this is a really wide tangent I'm coming here. Soccer, in soccer, or as the rest of the world calls it, football, they say 2-0 is maybe the worst lead to have because your team starts to get a little complacent, maybe a little bit too relaxed, and the other team on the other side, they're down 2-0. They're going to play differently. They're going to play aggressive. They're going to play hungry. That's why they call it the worst league to have in the world. But we've seen it be a lot different here in the world of esports. And now coming in, even though the Tizzy's staying in this map, the Diva's still there, we have seen them play Ramatra a lot throughout the season here. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. Bert, though, already on that bash, and it's Connie going to be sticking in here. No Luvico so far for Vlog de Caminheiro tonight. But Connie, we saw last night, especially on this map, playing that Zarya going up against, I believe, a Bastion on the other side did not really affect them that much. That bubble popper comp coming out here now from DhillPatos, especially with the Juno. Like I said, expect to see Juno a little bit here from DhillPatos throughout the series. They like to play it here, especially on this map. Ludwig on the May, another fun pick here. And because the Vendetta's banned, Lucas going over to the Venture instead.
Yeah, and I like this. This combination, I think, is going to work out beautifully. But, again, you have all this big damage that you're able to burn through with Bert, and Connie is going to be the main subject of this right here. Because, reminder, that while this was them playing in this game yesterday, DhillPatos got to watch that whole game and see what it exactly was that they leaned towards and succeeded with right here. So, it's pretty good response immediately into Connie on the Zarya. But you still have to be careful because Tizzy is on the Ramatra, and they're a lot more fragile than you realize. It's the full-powered Connie running through, helping get rid of 3 and 4, and that's going to be a decisive fight right there. Again, it's just so easy to be burnt down by that high-charge Zarya.
And again, another fast start here for Vlog de Caminheiro, and we saw it last map. DhillPatos were able to come back in, really win a quick fight there. That's exactly what they need to do here. Ludwig's Ice Wall actually did the opposite of what they wanted to do in that first fight, though. Instead of walling off a player from Vlog de Caminheiro to their team, they instead walled off 2 of their own teammates to Vlog de Caminheiro, and you saw them die there first. So again, early on this map, you can have some mistakes here, but right now, Vlog de Caminheiro looking to get another quick team fight win here. Ooh! Lucas barely gets out with their life there. The bubble really saving them.
Yeah, a little lucky to get out of that situation alive, frankly. But Rico, not as lucky, unfortunately. So now you take the aggression, and Lucas doesn't get underground in time. Just barely misses out on it. We should be able to see the cleanup come through from here. But Connie is still kind of hanging around, but unfortunately, he's not going to retain all of that charge. Eventually gone, and at the very least, you get 1 out alive, but the reset comes through. But 47 meters, not bad for your first real push.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely not here, but you leave the bot and now are DeBerry in a really awkward spot here, especially as you do see DhillPatos get back to the card here. you look at the teams here. They're gonna have a lot of ults coming into this fight. You're gonna have artillery. You're gonna have rally. You're gonna probably have Blizzard as well from the other side. Grab, Amp Matrix, Overclock, all gonna be ready here. This could be a heavy ult fight, but I like this out here from early from Burt. Really using to zone off, but the Amp Matrix can be completely denied by the Ice Wall. Two, I think, almost wasted ultimates here.
Yeah, that's a little rough right there, and it's going to give you a bit of space to work with, which is nice, but it doesn't settle the situation of the fight, and now this is going to be the third invested here, and Sux immediately has to respond with the rally, and it forces everybody into a really weird situation where you're basically taking a fight on two sides. Unfortunately, Froakie gone, Connie losing a bunch of the sustain. They need to, I think, fully back out and take the reset.
Rico. Again, like I said, these two Lucios that we'll see throughout the night like to play aggressively. That right there, that's now punished them twice, trying to play aggressively, go for kills, try to really help out both their DPS. They're not going to really work, and that should not only give DhillPatos a lead, it might also be these forward spawns as well. Grab the ready here for Connie, but look at the other side. Blizzard, Annihilation, Orbital Ray. You are in a really good spot here for DhillPatos, not only to be ready for this grab and probably Tecton Shock combo, but you have a good chance to win the fight as well.
Yeah, and here comes that freeze. No bubbles available, and Connie just gets caught inside of it, but big clutch from Froakie to throw in the Immortality field. It's going to keep this single-handedly alive. The beat used in response for this Orbital Ray, but still, it's just going to sustain them briefly as everyone's got the back out as the grab is chunked in there. Annihilation gonna be used to sustain if you're Tizzy. You lose out on Liquid though, so you lose a little bit of that sustainability, that ability to cut Connie off. But I think the moment this turret form is out, that's where the aggression is going to pick up. They're going to start moving forward. Tizzy is separated from the team a little bit here. The damage is just going to be too much to deal with. And now you're going to try to get everybody out alive, as everyone's going to opt to die on the point, try to see if everybody can get the forward spawns. And it looks like they will.
Yeah, everyone catching that late bust there. Burt, Tizzy going to be able to find it as well. The forward spawns should be there, so they can have a really quick re-engage here, especially with Burt having the artillery, but they're going to probably play around where the barrier is right now for Vlad Caminhoneiro. But Vlog, actually, I like this out here early. Again, they're trying to slow down, and really it looks like they're just trying to go for Rico. Not going to be able to find it there. One last shot. Not going to be able to do enough there, but you have two good ultimates right now for Vlog, and that's a really good amp matrix, actually.
Yeah, and Liquid was in a rough situation for a moment there, as we're going to see get the initial cap right now, but not done quite yet. You still have another fight to finish out here, but getting rid of Liquid is a fantastic way to get it going. Burt separated from the rest of the team right now. It is literally in no man's land. He's going to have to get out of there, and looks like they'll be able to momentarily with a little bit of help. But now an important fight on the line here. Rally, the only ultimate that's really about ready to go.
And remember how they used Rally last time? They used it just to kind of counter out the overclock. Both ultimates essentially in those first fights were almost wasted there for both these teams. About a meter difference here, and oh my goodness, DhillPatos.
Yeah, they just got burned down right there. Gonna have to take a little bit of a reset once again. But again, only now a meter difference between these teams here. But now, even in a short lead like this, 50-50 Overwatch, it still matters.
It still matters, especially since both teams have these forward spawns. It's now reset, but everyone from Vlog was able to get it. So I think you almost might see them come out here and try to play a very aggressive fight here, but no, they're going to fall back, wait for it to get to this choke point right here. But still, you have to deal with both support ultimates ready to go here for Dill.
Yeah, 100%. Connie is in a really rough situation there. There is so much chaos taking out of the room, and Connie is down, the rest of the team is suffering. Nitro, only one left alive, and isn't even going to be able to. The full team wipe, and that is going to give you such a bigger lead here to work with. It's a wonderful spot for them to be in.
Oh, it's a great spot for them to be in here, especially as they keep on moving it up here, adding on to their lead. They're going to get up the final kill here momentarily, but look at what they still have. They only use the rally, Hunter. They're about to have all four of their other ultimates here. Vlad Caminhoneiro struggled to build up anything. Ice Wall coming out there from Blowing, not going to find the value it's truly looking for, but Connie, I believe, had to use both their bubbles already to keep themselves alive.
Yeah, and that's rough to have to deal with this early on in the fight right here, but now Graviton Surge just right around the corner, has a decent amount of charge. You see everybody back out a little bit as Burt, again, the artillery strike is ready to go here. Beat going to be used to help everybody sustain to it, but again, Connie caught in the freeze and the vortex, helping finish them off right here. Nitro maybe trying to keep them in this one, but unfortunately, there's so much damage and health to burn into that we're already looking at this potentially being over soon.
Tecton Shock coming out here now from Lugic, just trying to give their team one last gasp in this, or one last chance really. And going to be able to do the job here. As you do see everyone from Block come back out. Amid coming out here now. They need to be able to win this fight to at least give themselves a shot with the final 3 minutes. And honestly, getting rid of Tizzy would probably be a really good idea here.
Yeah, I might tend to agree in that situation right there, but it's not quite over yet. It's still a 3v3. Tizzy's going to try to get back in here and make a little something happen. And to be fair, with WebTube alive, there is still sustainability here. You get all these heals coming through, and even if they lose this fight, you're just burning away clock.
I'm honestly surprised Tizzy has not pulled that Annihilation. They will die here. They're holding on to it for all the right reasons, but especially when you lost 2 people for each side, I feel like that would have been a perfect opportunity for Tizzy to pop that Annihilation and just try to really finish the map. That's how close DhillPatos are here to finishing it here. And now, still 2 minutes, 18 seconds left to go here. You do have grab right now. Lucas going over to a Reaper. We did see that a little bit yesterday from them, and it worked out very well. Is it going to be a difference maker here in this map? Well, 2 minutes left. Time will tell. But you're still going up against an Annihilation and Sox, who's already built into another rally.
Yeah, and Connie has to, again, use both bubbles to pull around the corner here. He's going to have a Graviton Surge ready. You're going to pull multiple bodies into that, but you lose out on Lucas the moment you pull it out, so you don't have that backup that you normally would. And now Connie has to try to get out alive. Unfortunately, they're going to try to run out of here. It feels like you almost need to die on card here and give yourself time to reset for another fight. But Connie wants to try to pull it back. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, and now you're going to see the 3 remaining members of DhillPatos just push this card up. They're probably going to fall back, not having everyone here, but, I mean, honestly, you have Ludwig, and you have, well, actually, no, everyone is already backing up. It's just Ludwig taxiing the bot up as far as they possibly can. Connie now, a late swap over to the Orisa here. Rookie has another Amp Matrix ready to go, but is it going to make a difference here in the final 75 seconds of this map, especially going up against a full house of ultimates here for the DhillPatos?
It feels like you could try to force a very aggressive approach here to get a lot of these ultimates out. You're going to see one immediately within Bird, who's been kind of just using this one to get something out, force some kind of cooldowns, and you do get out that spin from Connie to try to make it a little easier to burst through, but above all else, you are burning what is now extremely precious time right here. You take this aggressive approach, but this is exactly where you want to play right here. If you are DhillPatos, and here comes that investment with the Orbital Ray being thrown in, it's going to be able to help them sustain through it, and with WebTube gone already, it creates a bit of a possibility as Nitro hides away for the moment, trying to, again, sustain a wave, but this fight should be very winnable in their favor. It's one down, but there is a lot to go.
I mean, honestly, maybe the best fight we've seen from Vlad Caminhoneiro so far. They only really invested they did invest 2 ultimates, the Beat and the Amp Matrix, but they did not lose anyone in that fight, and you got 3 ultimates out from the other side. Granted, Pert is already 6% to another artillery coming up here. Tizzy still has Annihilation, and Sox does have Rally, so you're going to be going in overtime here for a very, very long time, and right now if you have Vlad Caminhoneiro, you cannot afford to, I think, really die again this map.
Ooh, and Lucas was nearly the recipient of such a death, but now someone has to go and touch this point. It's Connie who will do it, and now it's Lucas who's going to have the Death Blossom. All they can do is throw it out and pray, but it just does not happen. And with that separation going through, it's going to be DhillPatos taking this map once again. The shoe is on the other foot now. Dex says it is DhillPatos up 2-0 to get this series started.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, shoes on the other foot. We're basically seeing a reverse of what we saw in the upper bracket finals. However, it's been a little bit more back and forth than what we saw in the upper bracket finals throughout those first 2 maps. Granted, though, DhillPatos, they look very dominant on a map that yesterday it seemed like Vlad Caminhoneiro had figured out and almost looked unstoppable on here. But, I mean, still, the biggest difference about this being a grand finals is, hey, you have the time now. You have the time. Your backs are not against the wall. You still have 1 more map before you get to that point. But, again, it's going to be Vlad Caminhoneiro's second to last map pick of the series, no matter what for them. They really have to bring us to a map that they feel like they have the difference on. And I think the question that I really want to know, is this where we see Luvico come in, or does Connie stay in? I think Connie's been doing a good job, but I think we need to see Luvico come in now as we, Hunter, I feel like this is the first time we're seeing this map. I think in the entirety of the season here in South America for the games we covered. We're heading to Blizzard World for our 3rd map.
I don't know if we've even, I try to recall it if you can, but I don't know if I've even remember being here for North America either.
I know this was a Nightmare special map in North America. They did not. I don't think they brought the teams to Kings Row a lot. It seemed like whenever me and you would watch a Nightmare series, they would always go to Blizzard World.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I've casted Blizzard World specifically. It's a weird thing to think about. It is a map of all time. It's a beautiful map, to be fair.
Great map. I think it's overshadowed by a couple other hybrid maps that always get in the map pool with it, but I think it's a great map, and I like the ban coming out here from Vlad Caminhoneiro, especially with this being such a big poke map, especially for the first 2 points. Getting rid of the Freya is really going to slow down Burt here a little bit, force them to go over something like the Sojourn, something like the Cassidy, maybe even something like the Hanzo or Widowmaker. I would not be surprised to see that come out from them, but again, Freya on that first map for Burt was just doing numbers in damage.
Oh, massive numbers, and I'm happy to look back at it here. Actually, right now, I don't have to wait to look at anything. Burt ended up putting a little over 10,000 damage, the most in the lobby. Nitro was right behind with only like 100 or so less. It's crazy what both these DPS have been able to produce in this series so far, and honestly, throughout the entire playoffs, we've been able to witness. But it is this cleanup that is coming through from DhillPatos that is working out so well for them here, to where Vlad Caminhoneiro is not even getting horribly outclassed. I'm going to keep reiterating that, but it is these compositions that you are bringing out, if you are DhillPatos, to where they know what Vlad Caminhoneiro wants to come out with in these situations, so they already know how they want to react.
Yeah, absolutely here. But again, I'm going to be looking at the subs for both these teams this time around because, again, we still have Lore and Null on the bench for DhillPatos. I definitely think we could see one of those two come in this map. Luvico for the other side, the only one there for Vlad Caminhoneiro. I could really see them coming in this map in place of Connie. Again, Connie hasn't been having a bad series. I just think Luvico has been maybe one of the only tanks so far this season from what we've seen to really take it to Tizzy head-to-head, toe-to-toe, and come out on top some of the times there. But lineups are being finalized right now. We'll figure out what that second ban is. Getting rid of the Freya, that does leave a lot to be left there to be banned. I mean, you could go after the Lucio here. We do know DhillPatos likes to play the Juno. We saw it the entirety of last map for them, and Vlad Caminhoneiro, they like to play the Lucio. Have played it really throughout this entire series so far. And honestly, I think banning the Lucio here would almost be a little bit of a blessing in disguise for Vlad Caminhoneiro. It seems like Rico at times throughout the series maybe likes to get a little bit too aggressive and put themselves in spots that they cannot escape from.
Yeah, 100%. You could see a reality where I was going to potentially say the Brig, but no, it's her pretty big counterpart. Ana is going to be the ban here for DhillPatos going into this third map. And looking at the lineups again, not changing. And we're used to seeing, at the very least, with DhillPatos, swaps coming through at some points. But no, they are confident with these 5. And so far, with the results we have seen, it's hard to really think elsewise, as we're getting ready to head into our third map of the series. DhillPatos up 2-0, potentially 2 maps away from making history.
Yeah, again, that's going to be something we touch on here tonight. If you have joined late, DhillPatos undefeated in the regular season, looking to be the first team in South America to finish the season undefeated. There have been 2 teams in the past that finished the season undefeated and won the championship, but ended up losing in the upper bracket finals. Before getting back to the finals to find their victory here. But now heading into Blizzard World for, again, Hunter, the first time maybe me and you this season have seen it. It's going to be a fun one here, especially in the grand finals. And this is kind of what I expect to see from both sides. Connie sticking with the dive here, Tizzy sticking with the Zarya. It's not a big shock here. It's been working very well for them. Connie, there's still some time to swap. Rico, you can kind of see it. They're questioning, what do they come out here with? They stick with the Lucio, especially with Lucas teasing us on the Echo. It would be really, really fun to see.
It would be really fun to see right here. I don't know how long Connie opts maybe go on with this Zarya, running into Tizzy, being on this Zarya. So we'll see what the adjustments are going to be, but you could see someone like Lucas on this Echo do some damage. We saw them do a ton of damage previously in our ladder series against the Garfo squad, but we'll see how it works here as this third map is underway.
Third map underway here right now, and again, Tizzy the only one kind of sticking up on that high ground for the moment. It looks like DhillPatos just can kind of play back for the brief moment, and I like that from them here. Really force Vlad Caminhoneiro to make the first move here, but they really just gonna need to catch someone off guard. Actually, it's gonna be Ludwig making the first move here. That would be a huge early pick with the bubble there from Tizzy. Gonna allow them to get some good charge and keep Ludwig safe.
And no, 100%, you want to find some kind of pick here to give yourself this ability to kind of snowball away this first fight. But you have someone like Ludwig who's going to be able to sustain through so much, and Wedtube and Sox, who, again, have their own ability to sustain and get out of these dangerous situations. But unfortunately, Wedtube gets a face full of the stickies and unfortunately is going to fall down. But that doesn't mean things are taken care of. Lucas is pulled down to the ground by Ludwig. And just like that, this fight has turned on its head. They're forced out, and now you are hoping and praying you can keep Connie in this mech.
I mean, to keep Connie in the mech, you also find Burt, but yeah, now that Nitro falls there, Connie gets DMX'd. Connie gonna honestly run straight into Tizzy here, hoping for death. Gonna be able to get it eventually there, but now look at the clock here, Hunter. Already a minute 15 gone. That's one fight down, and it took him a while to really get anything going here. I wonder if this D was necessarily going to stick for Connie very long here, but they're already about halfway to a bomb, so it's going to stick at least for the bomb, I believe. Actually, no, immediately over to the Zarya instead. I like that from them here. They need to be able to match Tizzy. I think that's the biggest thing in this entire series, just Connie being able to match Tizzy. It's going to be something that we talk about throughout the entire night here. Tizzy has had their numbers so far, but all that Vlog needs is one good fight, and we can see them have some momentum on their side.
Yeah, 100% right here. Connie is trying to get as much charge as humanly possible, but again, you see Ludwig hanging around the back, getting those bubbles. This is the aggressive style that we've seen from so many teams over the course of the last month or so, and it's working out beautifully again. They're pushing forward right now. Everyone else needs to try to get alive. Rico is in a bit of no man's land, though. It's probably going to have to bite to death here soon, but Froki also goes down, so even a longer reset coming through.
And look at that clock now, Hunter. A minute 45. You might only have 2 more good chances here, but you really start needing to go faster here. Look at the ultimates, though. About to be all 5, maybe minus Tizzy here for the early part of this fight for DhillPatos. 4 ready to go here for Vlad Caminhoneiro. Connie kind of lagging behind because of the swap there over to the Czar. This is still a fight that Vlad Caminhoneiro can win, especially with Rico's beat. If it gets off at the right time, it can really help this team play as aggressively as they need to be. But I like Ludwig here, waiting in the wings.
Yeah, and it's going to hang around that corner. Sundering Blade going to help get rid of Connie, and that fight settles itself. And unfortunately, Locust Bud, nothing you can do there. Thrown back. And the biggest thing about this is that's just one ult expended for that fight. Right? Well, it ends up being 2. But now they still have the Graviton Surge ready to go.
They still have Grav. They still have Orbital Ray. They still have Rally. I mean, they're in a really good spot here. I mean, we've started to see this Orbital Ray come out from WebTube as mostly something to be a deterrent for the other team's grab, something that really forces them to kind of just back up and let the grab fade away here. But if you're Connie, if you can build up to a grab this fight, it helps you out a lot. Consider much out from Froki, trying to get this fight started, but a huge grab.
Yeah, and Burt. Oh my good gravy God, no way. We have just witnessed that. They threw in literally everything to do that, and it ends disastrously.
Oh
my
God.
God.
Is back-breaking there for Vlad Caminhoneiro. They still have an overclock, but look at what they're walking into. Orbital Ray and Rally. You can see DhillPatos just play up, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and now Connie needs to try to sustain through this. Eventually is taken down. Bodies might try to get through right there. Nitro is going to be able to get rid of one. Overtime does get activated, but it is going to mean not. It is a full hold here for DhillPatos. Now they need one successful fight to bring this to match point, and right now the Ducks are looking good.
The Ducks are taking over the world, Hunter. I don't know how they did in Oceania. I know they were doing really good there, but I mean, wow. This is the exact opposite of what we saw in the upper bracket finals where these two teams met off. And it seemed like Vlad Caminhoneiro had figured something out about this DhillPatos team. But now it just seems, I mean, we're getting back into the back half of that script again from the upper bracket finals. It seems like Vlad Caminhoneiros have lost themselves. Vlad Caminhoneiro has lost themselves here. They're struggling immensely. Everyone on the team, Rico, the only one to have the least amount of deaths with 3. Everyone outside of that has 4 or 5. 3 people on the side of DhillPatos didn't even die. I mean, that's how good of a round that was here. Now, if you're DhillPatos, you really don't have to rush into anything here. You really don't have to rush into anything here. You have to only get 1 tick. So, honestly, you only need to win really 1 team fight, and you've done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a little insane in this situation as to what you have to do in the situation if you are Vlad Caminhoneiro to bring this one back. And the issue is, you have to play flawlessly. That's the answer. You can't give up anything here. Everyone needs to play safe. You have Nitro over on the Bastion, though, to help burn Tizzy away a little bit. It's what worked against them. We'll see if the success could be duplicated.
It's going to have to be here, but it's going to be really, really hard. I just think we're going to see a little bit of a different play come out here from Vladi Caminhoneiro's one they're maybe not as comfortable with, where they kind of have to play bad. They have to play slow. They have to play defensively. But I think that's just going to play right into DhillPatos' hands, where Rico almost gets taken out early. That would have been a nightmare for them to get everything started.
Yeah, 100%. But you see, there's no rush right now for the DhillPatos. They're taking their time. They're going to take this fight like they would any other. You take that level of aggression, and Rico is blisteringly low, but Lug went down first. Tizzy, being burnt away, is able to slip on the other side of the wall just in time. But remember, you can't afford to play too aggressively here, but after getting rid of Sox, you are definitely thinking about it. But Tizzy's at full health. You need to give this up, but unfortunately, Nitro goes down.
That's a huge pick. That's honestly a huge pick. DhillPatos can come back in now very fast. Look, Sox already going over to Lucio. Rico now going to try to taxi back their fallen DPS here back very quickly. It's going to be something that's going to have to be almost perfectly timed here for them now, as Nitro just abandons it. Instead goes over to the Tracer. Ludwig also makes a swap to the Pharah. A lot of burst damage now on the field for the Patos.
Yeah, and we'll see how well this Pharah works out, and the answer right now is it's pretty decent. Lucas is gone and down already. Froakie is trying to build up to getting something here, but now Buys have to start throwing themselves on. They get booped away, and nobody can make it back in time as a result. And this is going to be match point now for DhillPatos, looking to run it back with this squad, and right now it is becoming hard to argue against it.
Incredibly hard to argue. Like, DhillPatos, we came in this postseason having a lot of questions about the team because of the big win streak they went on, yeah, but because of how the last 5 of them were all forfeits, essentially. We got a lot of questions answered in that first round matchup against Cosmos, where they really just seemed to be able to say, like, hey, there's no rust at all there. What happened? And now you're seeing them play this match here again against Vladi Caminhoneiro, where I started asking those questions. Did they have the rust? That rust is nowhere to be found. Instead, it's just shiny. It might be gold here in a moment, but Vladi Caminhoneiro, time for their final map pick. They are now trying to start the reverse sweep that DhillPatos was able to do to them about a week ago.
Yeah, and we'll see what route it's going to go down. We're headed to Shambali Monastery to get this one going for our 4th and potential final map. And this is where, if you had any misgivings, if you had any hesitation on your bans, it needs to be dropped right now. Whatever you feel is the most effective ban, you have to let it loose and give yourself a chance in this series. Now, what it is, I think there's a couple of good options, but Zarya is definitely the big one here to get rid of, to force something else out here. Because, to be fair, it felt like the biggest opportunity that they really had was earlier on when you had the Divas out there. It felt like things were very back and forth.
Yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say, we saw a Diva ban come out here, a Zarya ban come out here very early on in the series. We have to remember, it's actually the Patos that made that ban. That was the first ban of this series. So I think right now the right move would be Zarya. Is that gonna be what they do? We're gonna figure it out here in a brief moment. But I mean, I think both me and you are kind of in agreement that might be the way to go. I think maybe the only other one you could really make an argument for is Juno. Weirdly enough, going into this map, I think those are really the 2 bans that you could say here for Vladi Caminhoneiro. That would be, I think, at least take away a little bit from DhillPatos.
Yeah, because even if you take away the Zarya, you're just going to see what you saw back on Runasapi with the Ramatra instead. Which, to be fair, it didn't start out the most amazing, but the moment they got into sync, it was so difficult to deal with. It was hard to burst through anybody, and even the fights they did lose, they sustained through it and stalled that point out for forever. So we'll see what the answer is going to be, but Vladi Caminhoneiro, they have to have the answer here. 10 seconds left on that clock to decide. Obviously, I think things are really flying between things like that Zarya, like that Ramatra, like that Juno, but it is going to be the astronaut herself here. Juno is taken out, which, to be fair, I think this is realistically the best choice, because if you would have taken either tank away from Bert, or from Tizzy, I should say, the other was just going to come out.
Yeah. Are we calling her an astronaut now? But
that's
yeah,
what I'm gonna call her.
Like I said, I thought the Zarya or the Juno would probably be the 2 you would go after here, especially if you're going to leave Connie in, or if Lubico is going to be coming in here. I think they have a really good Zarya as well, so you're going to try to keep that matchup going. The Juno, though, has been really a specialty for this DhillPatos team. We really haven't seen a lot of teams outside of a Lucio ban play the Juno as consistently or as regularly as DhillPatos have throughout the entirety of the regular season and here in the playoffs. So now DhillPatos turn to ban. I would not be surprised if they go after a tank here. Something maybe like in Orisa that we have seen Connie pull out as a little bit of a, we need some more sustain tool. They really want to make it to where Connie needs to have some struggles on that tank if they stay in, to be, say, if the Zarya doesn't work, they go back over to the D.Va potentially. Ooh. It's gonna be the Cassidy though instead. Ooh.
Which is,
so that's a ban weird on the Nitro.
Yeah, which to be fair, it's a solid ban because we saw Nitro, I mean, first of all, do well previously in this series with it, as we get the cursed Shambali daytime going towards here. But remember that Nitro, I think, was one of the biggest key factors of that game yesterday against Agave Garfo, almost single-handedly pulling back some of these fights. They're not going to have the option on this character, but they got to find a way to make it happen. It is their last opportunity to turn this series around, and they're going to be able to start on the attack to try to do so.
Yeah, as we head in now to, like you said, the cursed daytime version of Shambali Monastery, I think this is the first time that I'm actually seeing it. It doesn't look that bad.
Nah, actually, it's just the image
it's
that
just
gets
bright.
me.
It's just bright and very white. I will say that. But coming out of the gate, this is kind of what I expected. Connie staying in. You do see the Zaryas come out here. If Connie can really get the Zarya going, I think you're going to see a much different Vlad Caminhoneiro team. We haven't seen Vlad Caminhoneiro really get off to a fast start really since the second map, Runa Sapi. They won a first fight, looked good, but the two times they won first fights this series, Hunter, DhillPatos came right back in and shut them down the very next fight. So you need to have some consistency going your way here if you are Vlad Caminhoneiro going into what could be the final map. You see the funny picks coming here right now for Vlog. It's just going to probably be a damage-boosted Widowmaker shot and a sonar arrow coming out from the DPS line, and maybe a 5-orb from Froki. But outside that, you're going to probably see him go right back to what they were playing before. Ludwig, maybe trying to fly a little bit too close to the sun right there. Gets the bubble to keep them alive, though. Nitro might be sticking with the Widow here for a brief moment, just trying to see if anyone pokes their head out a little bit too far before you eventually see them all just get off as Rico goes over to the Lucio. Nitro, though, there we go, going over to So. So back to normal here.
Yep, everything going back to as it should, but you're hoping for a good of a start as any. No one outside of Ludwig is going to put themselves in much of an exposed position. So eventually you're going to have to see some transition over to the high ground, and that you already do is Burt, dangerously close to going down, actually will go down in this fight. So now Tizzy going to struggle to stay alive. So Vlog de Caminhoneiro with a fantastic start on this fight. Soph's the only one to, well, not get out of here alive. Say hi around and stall the cart for an extra couple seconds.
And again, this is exactly what Vlad Caminhoneiro needed. They needed a fast start, and they got it. Now they need to keep that momentum up. If they can win this next fight here, Hunter, I think we're going to see a much different Vlad Caminhoneiro team this entire map. But they need to play safe here. They cannot overextend. Lucas getting some charge there for Connie, but now Ludwig doing the same for Tizzy.
Yep, 100%. You want to keep this big momentum going. Keep Connie alive here, burn through some bodies right now. You would love to get Tizzy separated, and bubbles have been expended pretty heavily thus far. But still, you need to have enough damage to break through, but it's Lucas gone first, and you're seeing everybody immediately try to get out of there, but Ludwig overplays their hand, gets taken down, and you're going to see Lucas get back just a tad quicker here.
Yeah, and that should be a big boost here for Vlad Caminhoneiro, especially finding that pick there. Kitsune coming out for them. They want to play fast. They want to play loud, but Burt shuts down Nitro.
Oh, yeah, but Tizzy is separated. Connie has already bursted down too. This first point is already taken care of. 4:40 left on the clock here. Soak's lucky to be getting out of here alive. And honestly, Lucas, you could say the same thing, but they're pushing up and forcing everybody back.
They're pushing up, forcing everyone back, but they kind of forgot about the one thing that's important in this map, the cart for a brief moment. Connie now the only one still left up there, but the Kitsune from Froki was exactly what they needed there to keep this cart rolling. Again, you cannot get stalled out here if you're Vlad Caminhoneiro. We've seen already 3 maps this series. They get stalled out after one fight, never really able to look like the same team after that here. Kitsune now out from WebTube as they want to try to take the momentum back.
Yep, grab can be thrown in here. It's going to catch on to multiple members, but you're going to get that beat. Keep them alive, and Connie, close to going down, will get it as well. It's a big investment from both Burt and Nitro now, investing the overglass to try to stay into this one, but both of them making sure not to peek their head too far, surrendering the space a little bit, because you need to keep Burt alive.
You need to keep Burt alive. Beat go out early there from Rico. Now Tizzy's going to have a free grab, and it's going to be ready and out right now.
Yeah, and the cleanse keeps them alive momentarily, but Connie, Froakie, both gone. You're going to see the first proper reset have to come through here, as at the very least you get some good picks and you get out the Graviton Surge, which to be fair, without that beat, it's just impossible to deal with properly.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand why Rico used the beat when they did. The beat came out from the other side. They wanted a second beat there, see if they could get a quick fight win, and that would probably guarantee them that second point, but it just didn't work out for them. Overclocks came out from both sides, really stopping each team in their spot, especially on a good corner like it did. Now, though, as Vlad Caminhoneiro tries to flip the map here, they're trying to play fast. Froakie will have another Kitsune Rush here pretty soon. Same thing with the Sundering Blade, as, I mean, if they could force back DhillPatos just a little bit further, they might be able to steal his cart, but Connie very low.
Yeah, and they're going to speed out, try to find somebody here.
Oh.
Froakie, the unlucky recipient, Rico. Honestly, I think really lucky to still be alive. Luck is going to run out, though, eventually, as Nitro got to run for the hills, as they're going to keep trying to push up and find somebody. But they need to stop for a little bit of cart progress instead, hopefully. But they're a little disjointed right now.
A little disjointed. They have no support. I mean, they're playing slow here because they really have to. But you look over at the other side, Froakie dying early. They have Kitsune Rush now. Once they get back in this fight, they need to pop it because Web2's not that far behind, but it's going to be the Sundering Blade out first.
Yeah, it doesn't catch on anybody. Causes momentary separation. It's caused everybody to have to back out a little bit here, but Birdie is the one caught out. And Connie already is taken care of too. Kitsune Rush thrown out, but without having that extra damage, it's down to Tizzy to basically have to solo their way through this.
I mean, they forgot to push the card there for a brief moment. I think with how aggressively pushed up that we're seeing Vlog come out here, there's actually not going to be a touch. And Nitro now investing the overclock in here. I mean, a couple big picks actually getting the beat up. Huge. Connie now has a free grab.
Yeah, and the crab's going to be thrown out here. It's going to catch on to multiple members. Wetsup eventually going down. They're going to force everybody back once more. Tizzy, though, is going to be able to maintain that charge, at least momentarily. Will be the only one to maybe get out. No! Gets hunted down. The charge is gone, and now the cart finally starts moving forward.
I understand going to try to get these kills there, but you had a really good opportunity right there for Vlad Caminhoneiro to probably get a good free 30, 40 meters there before a really engagement. Yeah, you're going to get that same meters here, but you would have had a little bit more if you kept one person on the card throughout that entire fight, which you had definitely won. Rico, though, has beat ready to go. Do they use it aggressively or do they hold it for grab? Burt has overclock. Be ready for that to come out this fight.
And, well, we have a prediction coming through here, and works out beautifully. But Burt is going to force everybody back and kill a bit more of this clock, but no finish coming through here. But now Rico's going to have this beat online for Tizzy's grab that's right around the corner. And really, those are the only things close to expending. Maybe Froakie with the Kitsune Rush, but they're moving through with the aggression. Lucas is caught in it, barely gets kept alive with the grab, but won't be able to sustain through it all. And with all this damage, it's going to be so hard to pull this fight back, but Connie thinks it's doable.
Connie thinks it's doable. Both Vendettas are down at the moment, so it's still very doable. Look, Rico actually very low. Another Kitsune Rush coming out here from Froakie. They want to try to win this fight, and they get Tizzy before the Suzu comes out. Web2 falls as well.
Yeah, now they could potentially just snowball the way through this all, but yeah, Cart is going to start moving again. They're going to throw everybody on this thing. Tizzy might have to change to swap and get a touch here, but no, they're going to try to rush out here. It's going to be nobody in time. Just too little too late now, and now Vlog de Caminhoneiro finds some sense of momentum, finish the map with a good amount of time here. So this is where things start to get a little bit interesting, Dex.
And oh my goodness, look at the stats right now.
Yeah.
Connie, like I said, once Connie gets going, they can match up against anyone, and they did that and exceeded it. 21-1 in that first round. They played an excellent Zarya throughout it, and I think a lot of it really came off the back of how well that first fight went for Vlad Caminhoneiro. Yeah, the second fight, almost a little bit of a disaster, but one thing that I really saw to change there for Vlad Caminhoneiro was, especially when they lost Lucas early, they were always able to trade out Ludwig on the other side, making sure the Vendettas really found no value throughout the entirety of that round. And you look at them there, Ludwig 7-6, Lucas 9-3, barely not. Lucas doesn't even have 3,000 damage. I mean, the Vendettas were almost worthless that first round.
Yeah, everyone over on the side of DhillPatos either has 6 or 7 kills. It's absolute insanity how it lines up like that. Listen, you saw it. Someone was gonna have to say it. I have to be the villain. But hey, in this situation right here, I mean, Vlad de Caminhoneiro probably feeling better than they have throughout the entirety of this series, but We've seen this DhillPatos squad have to bounce back before. They need to do it in spades here to try to close things out on Shimbali.
And immediately see him go right back over to this bubble popper composition that they ran on the start of Runasapi, and one that they've been running a lot here. And we've talked about Ludwig in the past. Yeah, they're very much known for their vendetta, but this May that they have, they make it look like a hit scan at times with how good they're able to land these right clicks onto heads. And now, oh wow, they're in a really bad spot as everyone from Blog just descends upon them.
Yeah, the moment they saw the rotation, they saw Ludwig on their own and said, oh, okay, free kill, thank you very much. It took care of business. Still, doesn't mean the fight's over quite yet. You're going to be able to get back Ludwig decently quickly. Rico is in a really tough position right now. As Bird, hoping to save through, unfortunately, isn't going to be able to. While Nitro does go down, they're going to be able to sustain it through this. As Tizzy would love to get one on the way out here, but instead it's going to be Vlog Caminhoneiro that's going to get out and just regroup with everybody.
Yeah, again, that's a good kind of move there from Vlog Caminhoneiro. They understood they did not need to stay in that fight as long as they did. They lost 2. They needed to back out, especially Connie, Rico, and Froakie being the last ones alive. That was the smartest thing to do here, because now they can play these very 2 good choke points. But you look at here, RedTube gonna have a Kitsune Rush here pretty soon. They kind of have to do what Froakie did last round, where the minute they get it, they almost have to pop it to try to give their team some momentum in the early part of a fight.
Yep. But now, Kitsune Rush is going to be available. WetTube, perhaps just slightly quicker as Froakie close to going down. And now, you might see a level of aggression here with that Kitsune Rush here, as here comes that aggression. Soaks incredibly low, will get finished out. And now, Burt also struggling to stay alive. This Kitsune Rush isn't going to do diddly squat as the full team wipe comes through here. And now, they're going to have a free Kitsune Rush to throw back here. And Soaks is going to have to try to save this beat for the grab. You almost have to.
You have to. I mean, that's what really, even though it kind of backfired on Vlog Caminhoneiro in the only fight that they really lost on the second point, it allowed them to kind of get set up for the next fight after that. And we're seeing it all the time. These beats have to be held for the grabs. If Connie can get a grab up here pretty soon, they could use it before Sox really gets the beat, but you already see Sox at 9%, so that beat is going to be there for it. But Lucas now, in the backline, gonna need to get out. Nice ice wall, but oh, Lucas barely gets above it.
Just barely. And now you're going to have a freeze online here, which if you can catch Connie out, like we've seen multiple times before, you might be able to see it go through. Unfortunately, it doesn't get anything. They're going to throw everybody in here, and Beat is ready for Soaks right now, but again, has to save it. It's going to get booked into the air. That was a little dangerous, but now you go in a situation, Connie still has the grab. You trade out into the 4v4 as Nitro getting a little bit aggressive here, trying to find something with that overclock, but still, it feels like you need a cooldown period as everyone's just running to the cart. Hey, Nitro's emoting! What are you doing?
Grabs are ready for both sides here. Oh my goodness, they're both up, but you lose Connie here for Vlog.
Yeah, but here you go. Lucas is trying to go through, gets rid of Ludwig, and now Tizzy out on their own will get burnt down. Minute left on the clock here. Things for DhillPatos looking rocky for the first time this series.
And Vlog Caminhoneiro bringing us to a map they desperately needed. I think they made the right bans. They've been playing very well. Connie has looked great. You're really seeing that DPS line come alive. They looked really good that first map, but have really been quiet since. And now, though, look, Burt getting off of the off the Bastion, back over to what I think might be their best hero on the Freya here. They need some burst damage, and that Freya is going to be able to do that here in spades with those take aim shots. WetTube, though, could have another Kitsune Rush here very soon, but do they hold it for this fight? Or honestly, no, they have to use it this fight, because this could be the last fight of this map.
It very well might be right now, and now you have that Kitsune Rush, and that's really it for both sides. Ludwig maybe gets the goal, but Burt is lucky to still be alive right now, gets rid of Lucas. But that trade out, I feel like that hurts DhillPatos a little bit more here, but you have your Kitsune Rush right around the corner. No hesitation to use this thing. You need to win this fight here and now. Connie, close to being bursted down, is separated with the freeze over on the point. This is going to be so hard to commit a retouch here. They do it with half a meter remaining. WetTube Pook is back, but eventually you're going to see them all be burnt down in tow. DhillPatos are going to be able to keep this thing going.
Just barely as well. Tizzy getting 3 picks there. WetTube gonna fall at the end. Won't necessarily hurt them that much, but I mean, DhillPatos doing exactly what they need to do to keep, like you said, this map going, this round going for them here. Because Hunter, we didn't have our normal kind of like scripted spiel that we normally do after team caps any hybrid or escort map. The other team, if they complete the map, all they need to do, don't look at the time bank, just complete it. And that right now is basically what the DhillPatos, my bad, are looking at here. But look at Vlog Caminhoneiro. They're trying to take this momentum. They're trying to take the space back very, very quickly.
Yeah, 100% they are. Kitsune Rush being used here, and now double investment over here from DhillPatos, trying to push them back harder, but still, everybody's just saying through B good views, and Tizzy throws the grab out. Everybody's in it, and the damage is just barely gonna be enough. Lucas and Rico both going to go down, and Everall's gonna try to run out of here and get out alive. And they're gonna abandon the cart momentarily to do it, and nobody dies as a result, so you have, well, even Metro going down, you have time to recover for one more fight.
Yeah, you have time to cover for one more fight, and now if you're Bloody Caminhoneiro, you're actually in a good spot, I believe. You have your own grab, you have your own overclock, Sundering Blade, not that far behind. And you look at the other side, Ludwig's Blizzard to give me the thing you have to really worry about here, especially since it gave them such a good opportunity to cap the point fast last time around here. But now, someone needs to get out here. It's giving Nitro starting off with the overclock. They need to find something here, but they need to keep Lucas alive. No Blizzard!
Yeah, Ludwig got destroyed the moment they peeked their head around that corner, and now 50 seconds left, but honestly, with the time it's going to take to recover and get to this point, this is final fight. It almost 100% is.
I mean, Vlad Caminhoneiro only got 2 picks there. DhillPatos did a good job of just backing out, so they're going to be able to come back in pretty quickly here. You have Kitsune, you have Blizzard. Again, the Blizzard is going to be what this fight really hinges on here. You cannot allow Ludwig to die early, and honestly, if you're Vlad Caminhoneiro, the grab out there, it captures a couple, but you need to find picks with it.
Yeah, and you're getting people low momentarily, but everyone's going to sustain through it. They're just going to loop around with their Kitsune Rush, and there's nothing you can really do unless Lucas pops off here. So now, everybody around the corner, that freeze is probably going to get expended here pretty quickly as both ultimates thrown out here. Connie destroyed immediately. With Rico and Nitro only ones left alive, they'll die on the point. Again, it's just barely done, but DhillPatos, they're keeping it going.
It takes till overtime yet again. The time bank's not going to be on their side, but Hunter, what did we say? The time bank doesn't matter anymore if you're DhillPatos. You're just trying to complete this map, and that was a costly fight there for Vlad Caminhoneiro. You invested a couple big ultimates to grab, not finding anything. Sundering Blade not finding anything, and now Froki is in closest one here, ready to go. A minute 10 left here. Burt has Bola. Again, if you can combo that onto someone here, especially if you can get a Tizzy to go in with it, it might be able to find a pick here, but you need to play smart here now, as at this point, you might get one good reset if the fight breaks out in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah, Bolo shot comes through. It's going to force some cooldowns out as Lucas gets fully booped back in. And now, you could see this start to snowball forward as Connie going to get separated momentarily, wants to burn through Ludwig, but it's just not happening yet. Uses the freeze to be able to stay alive a little while longer. Gets rid of Rico as a result. And now, Connie has to go try to die on the point, and suddenly, it's the wipe coming through. Lucas is got to worry about touching here.
This is misplay after misplay for Vlad Caminhoneiro. After what looked like they could have stopped on point 1 and point 2. Now you're going to see this DhillPatos team complete with time. The ice wall stops him. The grab stops him as well. It fell apart there at the end for what was looking like to be a good map for Vlad Caminhoneiro. DhillPatos, I think, have put themselves back in contention for the sweep.
This is going to be rough. The one silver lining you have if you're Vlad Caminhoneiro is how long that initial push took for DhillPatos to get to that first point. That's a saving grace in some senses. But now the question is, are they going to come out in the exact same thing here? And by them, I mean DhillPatos. With how long things took before, it could be a bit rough. But I could see them going down that route. I really can. Because at this point, you have such faith in what you have been doing that you need to simply double down and make it happen.
I mean, right now, though, you have a minute on the time bank for DhillPatos. Again, everyone's going to be able to pick their perks here. I expect to see DhillPatos make a couple of just swaps here in spawn to get those heroes all ready to go in case they lose a first fight. But if you're Vlad Caminhoneiro, Hunter, we've seen this already on this map one time here in South America. I don't remember if it was playoffs or the last game of the regular season that we covered. I think a team basically had this kind of time bank difference, but going into overtime, and they looked great their first time around, but they got stonewalled on defense in that second round of overtime, allowing that first team or the first round in overtime to really control the entire pace of it. Right now, though, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for this if you're Vlad Caminhoneiro, especially as DhillPatos. It looks like they're kind of slow to really make those swaps back, already wasting a little bit of time here. But again, it's not necessarily that much of a time loss considering it. I mean, I don't expect Vlad Caminhoneiro to really engage into a fight until about 30 seconds, which at that point, it would be final fight no matter what.
Yeah, those spawns are really close at the end of the day, though. But you see this transition to the high ground turret form, ready to go, and everyone needs to abandon this high ground immediately. Yeah, Connie, lucky to be alive. Lucas, though, Cannot say the same. Burst it down, and Dex, everybody needs to immediately just take the reset here and get everybody out alive.
And this is the exact thing that happened. What I'm talking about, the team that had the 1 minute won a fight and somehow got up to about halfway through the first choke point to that second choke point. And that's all they needed right now. But if you are Vlog de Caminhoneiro, again, it's one fight. All you need, hell, you don't even need to win the fight. You just need to pull people off the cart long enough.
Yeah, and the longer this goes on, the easier that's going to be able to be. But ultimates aren't really a factor right now. I mean, Bird and Froki are the only ones really above 50% in any meaningful way right now. But still, Rico needs to be careful of where they go. But Wetsup is going to be the first one to go down, and Bert barely alive right now. 1v1 in the back. They are going to be pushed off. It's just Tizzy and Ludwig trying to hold down the fort, but it is all a temporary grievance here as 86 meters is expended right here. And for Truck Vlog in their own way, it's a blessing to stop them this soon. But at the same time, those 86 meters could be more like 8,600.
Yeah, absolutely it could here, but I mean, like you said, they backed out, they regrouped, and I gotta give a lot of credit to Nitro right there. Hasn't necessarily been the best map for them. They struggled at times, but right now they're leading the lobby in elims, 36. I mean, Connie is right behind them in 35. So again, Nitro struggled, but they took an off angle there and were able to get rid of WedTube pretty early on. And that was what kind of got the ball rolling there. The off angle play. Haven't seen a lot throughout the night, especially for Vlog de Caminhoneiro, who again have struggled in these first 3 maps to get anything going. So having someone try to take an off angle hasn't really worked for them at times. But they got to work there, and now they give themselves a chance again. An extra minute and 23 seconds for them. They have about maybe an extra fight or 2 here that they really have to get those 86.86 meters now to extend this series and keep the season alive for them.
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy, but getting through this first fight, making it as efficient as possible is what's going to be so important. And you're going to see almost the exact same thing being done here. This transition over to the high ground, burning people away with Nitro over on this Bastion. And Lucas, again, going to look to find if somebody's holding out on the angle, just going to make sure they know, hey, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're getting. And it will be Lucas back over on the Vendetta.
It's worked out well. The Vendetta has actually worked out well for them this map, especially just disrupting this high ground play, which is really all you need. Right now, if you can win a first fight here on this high ground, that might just get you the win of this map here for Vlog de Caminhoneiro.
Yep, Connie gonna be walled off momentarily, just not enough damage to really burst him down as a result. But still, you see the transition over to the high ground, but Nitro feels a bit alone right now, and Tizzy dies, actually. That's massive right there. You're gonna see a level of aggression being thrown out here, but honestly, I think they need to hit a bit of a regroup here, and with WetTube down, everyone needs to try to get out of here pronto.
That's what they have to do. I think Connie's going to try to chase them down. They will have Froki with them here, but remember, they do not have a lot of space to give up here. That car, once it rounds this corner, you'll see the golden box of victory in view here. I'm actually kind of surprised we're seeing a little bit of a fallback here from Vlog de Caminhoneiro. Now, though, do they get a touch? Yes, they do. Overtime it has command, or not, overtime not commenced, but now this could be final fight.
Yep, and now Ludwig gonna be able to freeze on there for a minute, but now they cannot get off for even a second. Bird has gone down. They need to find this focus fire. Tizzy is trying to get more of this charge through, but it's been a struggle to really get it here. And here comes that aggression, pushing them off the cart. Half a meter away, Nitro gets rid of Ludwig. Tizzy going down, and Truck Vlog keep their chances alive. They take Shombali. It's a long road to make it, but they have made the first step.
Yeah, like you said, long road. In the case of Truck Vlog, they've only made the first mile here now, or probably
yes.
In South America, kilometer. But again, Connie getting to play the game here, I really want to give a lot of credit to Connie. They, like I said, they've struggled throughout this map, or throughout the series immensely. 38-5, 18,000 damage, almost 16,000 mitigation. That's about as much damage as you saw, Tizzy put out there throughout that entire map right there. It was an incredible performance there from Connie. And like I said, Connie can go head to head with any tank when they get off to a great start. And we saw it there. DhillPatos, though, we did not see the DhillPatos that we saw in the first 2 maps in the upper bracket finals where they looked lost. They were able to stop Vlog de Caminhoneiro. They got a good round there in their attacking side. It's just the time bank difference was the biggest thing. But DhillPatos, their first map selection of the night, gonna be bringing us to Sarabasa, and they're going after Rico here, getting rid of the Lucio. So expect to see the Juno back out from them, because remember, that was banned out last map.
Yeah, and that Juno's worked out really well for them in previous instances, and I like that you now get rid of the Lucio, and you take something away from them that they have been frequenting towards, because now they almost have to force their own Juno in this situation instead, and it's clear that Patos are a lot more comfortable getting something like that rolling, but Vlog de Caminhoneiro is going to have their own opportunity to get a ban in, and I feel like there's a few routes you could realistically go down here, Dex. I don't know if anything's really concrete. They've taken away some of the more significant bans already. You could potentially... I mean, honestly, that's true. That is a very realistic selection here.
Zarya's still there. You've already banned out the Diva, which I think would probably be the next hero you'd probably see up on the board for Tizzy. You could go after the DPS line here, considering that you just saw the Lucio ban. So you could say get rid of Tracer, get rid of maybe... You can't get rid of the Freya. Get rid of Vendetta. I don't think they've gone rid of Vendetta yet. No, it's the Bastion actually coming out from them.
Ooh, this will make things very interesting with the Bastion gone.
It really just makes me believe we're going to see the Zaryas come back out again. No more bubble popper competitions coming out here, but still, you're going to see a lot of pressure there. That leaves the Freya there. Again, they could not ban out Freya, so Freya will probably be the pick here for Burt. If not that, probably Cassidy or Sojourn here if the Freya struggles. Like, I kind of believe they do on this map. Not necessarily the best map for Freya, because a lot of the points are very close quarters, and some of them are indoors, so they will struggle immensely on them.
Yeah, they definitely will. So we'll see how things are going to work out. I think this Bastion being taken out is going to be great for Vlog de Caminhoneiro to clutch this one up. But again, we said it before, they've only taken the first step to trying to take this whole thing away. There's a lot more to go as we're ready to head into our 5th map of the series. And again, potentially the last one right here if DhillPatos have anything to say about it.
Yeah, and Vlog de Caminhoneiro, at least this won't be a sweep here, but they're now trying to do the hardest thing. Maybe in esports is reverse sweep a 7-map series here. But I mean, they looked better. They looked great last time around. Connie still staying in here for them, and no swaps coming out from the other side for DhillPatos. So now, once we see the clock go down here, yep, exactly what I expect to see. We're gonna see that Zarya battle again. Connie got one up on Tizzy last time around, but again, they need to get off to a hot start here. Need to get off to a really strong start. And I honestly think the only way for them to truly do that, Hunter, 100-0 this first point. I think if you're Vlog de Caminhoneiro, you need to keep this momentum going. If you allow DhillPatos to take this first point, I don't know if you're going to be able to take it back. But outside that, looks like Rico going to be showing us a Juno of their own here without basically the Lucio they've been hard locked on this entire series. Lucas going to be a TP out before going over to the Vendetta here. Burt, though, no Bastion, over to the Soj. That's kind of what I expected them to see from them here.
Yeah, almost a complete mirror, just a little bit of difference between the Kiriko and the Brigitte here. So sustainability is going to be a little bit more of an issue here, but Sox are going to be able to protect themselves a little bit more. But still, your biggest concern is still going to be keeping Connie up, who's become a really consistent figure more and more as the series has gone on. But Tizzy is no one to scoff at. Has been really consistent with all of this charge. Still, doing a really good job keeping presence on the point, but they get burnt down, and now cleanup coming through here. DhillPatos are going to be able to take the first fight. Rico, the only survivor.
The only survivor. They're going to be able to get out with their lives because of the speed ring here, but I think you're going to see a little bit of a difference here. Like you said, it's only the difference in Kiriko and Brig now for these two teams, and I think Brig on the side of DhillPatos, it's going to be something that I think is going to be a difference maker here for them. I think just a little bit more sustainable healing, especially now that they can actually play up with Tizzy in this composition and with Ludwig being able to get those melee hits in as well. It's going to be very, very vital to how this DhillPatos team plays throughout this entire map.
Yeah, 100%. Rico caught out first this time around. Without that sustainability, everyone needs to hit the deck, get out of there alive. Because if you can get Rico back, you can get another fight. And if you start staggering people out, I struggle to think that you could pull this back.
Yeah, and I mean, you're seeing Burt take an off angle here. Look, and honestly, look at Burt. They're gonna have Overclock ready to go for this fight. There's nothing on the other side that can really, like, contest it here. And this is gonna be one thing that I was gonna think was gonna be really interesting throughout this entire map. We know Rico likes to play aggressively on the Lucio. That probably translates over to the Juno as well. First one taking out that last fight. That's not necessarily what you want to see here. It's Tizzy!
hits the double kill right click. And no overtime to be found. Everyone's going to have to take the reset button here. It is an excellent start here for DhillPatos trying to close this thing out.
And now, I mean, you're going to see DhillPatos just run straight over to the next point here and get ready. I honestly don't think Burt needed to use the overclock there, but they did. I think Tizzy might have ruined that for them there, but hey, you'll take a fight when however you can get here. Froakie, though, does have Consumer Rush ready to go, and we do know they like to use it here pretty early on, but there's going to be a grab ready for Tizzy way before Connie has theirs ready, so that could come out as early as maybe 2 seconds from now.
Yeah, but grab has been thrown out here. Everybody thrown in. Cleanse there. Burt, though, is going to be the first one to go down. It's going to create an opportunity for Vlog de Caminhoneiro to take this fight away, but they're going to triple down in this situation. Try to find the investments. They want more than anything to win this fight. The problem is, Dex, they're not going to. That's so much thrown into that fight to get nothing out of it. Your one sustaining thing is that you force Vlog de Caminhoneiro to invest just as much, but that is so unfortunate.
Yeah, 3 ultimates out from Vlog, 3 ultimates out from DhillPatos there. I mean, I honestly, when WebTube used the Orbital Ray, I think you heard me say run right there for Vlog de Caminhoneiro, because they were putting themselves into a very dangerous spot, especially with a highly charged Tizzy and Burt, who can always hit headshot after headshot. But now Connie has the grab ready to go here, and they're playing up. They might try to use this here soon, but Ludwig falls early.
Yeah, but Connie's going to go down. Nitro, though, has found 3 in this fight. You're going to see Tizzy and Burt both going to try to get out of this one alive. You might see a little bit of a chase here to try to get rid of Burt. Tizzy, only survivor here, though. There's a bit of an aggression to take here. I don't know if I like it, though. I think you get out of here alive.
You know what? I like it. Without Lucio speed that can guarantee you getting to this point, look, DhillPatos just giving up on it. They're not even going to go for it. They're just going to give it over here to Vlog de Caminhoneiro, as I think they kind of forgot that whenever the point's on this side of the map, it's just going to go to the point on the same side of the map, just the opposite part of it. And now DhillPatos is not going to get set up as fast as they probably could have here. It's going to allow Vlog de Caminhoneiro to have a good opportunity here. Sundering Blade's ready for both sides, but Tizzy close to another grab here, Hunter. Again, expect those to come out very, very early here from them.
Yeah, we'll definitely see right here, but Ludwig's going to let this one loose first. Everyone's got to kind of play a little hopscotch as Connie low, and now it's going to be Lucas trying to respond directly back. Everyone in a weird situation, separation momentarily, but still the only one separated was Soaks momentarily, and here comes that grab, trying to burn everybody down, and it's successful for the moment. Lucas has been burnt away. Everyone else from Vlog de Caminhoneiro forced away from the point. Tizzy, though, instrumental pick to keep pushing them back.
If you can find Ludwig here, because they're trying to play a little bit aggressive for Vlog de Caminhoneiro, you put yourself in a good spot, but they get out with their lives. Ludwig also decides to hit the brakes, put it into reverse, and get out as well. But now, no ultimates online other than the Bird's overclock can be ready here. But you look over at Vlog de Caminhoneiro, they're going to have Rush. They're going to have their own overclock, not that far away from the Orbital Ray, but same thing could be said here for WebTube. So again, this could be a pretty ult-heavy fight once it gets going here, but Rico getting chased down here.
Yep, an investment here. Rico, first one gone. Burt gets rid of a second one. They're going to look to clear house a little bit here. Lucas goes in. Burt gets rid of a third, and now they are going to press up against near the spawn door.
And again, I mean, this is the right move here for DhillPatos. You have Orbital Ray, which, granted, didn't really find the value you were looking for last time, but you're in a little bit of a better spot here now. Rico will have Orbital Ray. Froakie, again, this Consumer Rush becomes so important because, well, that's going to probably be the tool you use, so most likely just get a touch here. Lucas, though, needs to stay alive at this moment.
Yeah, this is a struggle. Everybody's forced into a weird situation. Overtime touch comes through. Connie, a little lucky to be alive, and here comes the investment directly back from Rico, and Nitro gained the first pick and immediately has to trade things out. You still have the rally just to stay through this if you decide to do it. It is chosen, but they'll get burnt down instead, and Tizzy has all that damage, just not enough time to get it out here, so Vlog de Caminhoneiro going to be able to keep this thing going, but still, it took what they had.
It took what they had, but look what they built up to as well. They have Grab now. They have Sundering Blade. They're in a good spot here. They really need to try to take this fight slow, I believe here. Yeah, Tizzy's not that far away from their own grab, but you really want to hold on to your own grab as long as you possibly can here. If you're Vlog de Caminhoneiro, honestly, winning a fight without it would be massive for them. But at the same time, like I said, you're allowing DhillPatos to build up to those same 2 ultimates here. You need someone right now. You need your DPS line here for Vlog de Caminhoneiro to find that early pick to give you the momentum a little bit early on in this fight.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need here, and you're going to see this aggression come up here. You're hoping to find somebody, if you're kind of someone vulnerable enough, and it's going to be tossed in. It's going to catch on to two people. Ludwig close to going down there, but actually managed to sustain through almost all of it. With only Burt down, this is still winnable, and Tizzy's going to try to see if they can build up to this grab, but it's getting harassed.
Honestly, if Vlog can find Tizzy here, that might just be the point for them. But Tizzy's still alive, pushing up over, Thundering Blade out now from Lucas. Finds one, could be huge, finds one for the grab out.
Yeah, and now you're keeping everybody alive, but Soaks has already gotten rid of two. Fight not done quite yet. Overtime is going to start ticking over, but they're going to sustain through it. It's just Rico and Froakie hanging around. It's not going to be enough. It is going to be map and match point here. One more to go for DhillPatos to take this one away.
Championship point right now for the Patos. Perfect season for them as well. A lot on the line. Vlad Caminhoneiro, though, I mean, they're not in the worst spot here coming into this fight. They're going to have rush. They're going to have an overclock and an orbital ray at some point. If you look over the outside, Thundering Blade, Rally, and their own overclock as well, about to all be ready here. This is the point that Vlog really needs to cap first here. They cannot allow the Patos to catch first because they can just really not play from behind.
Yep, I mean, they're going to have this concerning rush to be able to sustain through because eventually they have to go to the card, but Burt is going to go in first. They're going to double down with Ludwig here as well, who would love to find somebody. Lucas, though, goes down to Wet Tube of all people there. Nitro, though, keeping this fight alive, but they have to probably give this up initially as it is going to flip over, and now you almost have to wait for your fifth.
You do here, and that's the unfortunate thing. It's too much, though. They're not going to wait. They're going to try to go fast here, and if that's the right move, the Rally coming out there from Sox. I mean, a disengaged Rally, you take this here.
Yeah, you take that point, you trade out some ultimates to do it, and now you're basically just going to have the double orbital ray going into this next fight. Nothing else is anywhere close right now. Makani is still ahead against Tizzy when it comes to that grab, and that is going to be so important going into this next one, but Rico having this online is equally as important. Ludwig forced off on their own will be taken care of, but one is going to be enough to shut this fight down.
You need more than one pick right there for Vlad Caminhoneiro. The orbital ray needs to be able to find a little bit more value than that because now Wedge can come back in and look what's not far away for Tizzy. A grab. Same thing for Connie is ready, but the grab plus that orbital ray, especially with how many people Tizzy's been able to catch in the grab so far this map, could be absolutely devastating for Vlad Caminhoneiro.
Yep, and here comes that orbital ray being thrown in of their own, and I mean, Lucas and Connie just too far separated, and you're going to see the point be given up here as well. Connie's going to have to grab, but Nitro is just too far separated. Everyone else needs to run out of there.
I mean, right now, if you're Vlad Caminhoneiro, if you can get a point flip and then a fight win, that would probably do it for this point here. But now, you need to figure out some way how to get back because you really have no other ultimates coming up online. And I mean, same thing, though, could be said for DhillPatos. They have the grab. That's it. Lucas could build up to a Thundering Blade, but again, this is a situation where either one of these DPS lines, if they can find a pick early on, it might just decide the fight and potentially the championship.
And there's that graviton surge thrown in. It's going on the other side. Nitro, Ludwig trading out their own rights. Connie needs to be kept up to keep their chances going. Is getting pressured significantly in this situation, but Tizzy is honestly struggling more than anybody else to stay sustained. Is going to be able to hold on a little while longer right here, but the overtime is through. It is do or die here for Truck Vlog. Connie goes all in to try to find that kill onto Soaks, and it will work out momentarily. Tizzy eventually going to be burnt down, but it's Burt who's gotten rid of two in this fight. It's just Connie sustaining over on the point. Burt is going to triple down here to clear things out, and quack quack, they run it back to back. They will take the grand finals. DhillPatos are your champions.
History has been made here in the South American region. The first time ever in the 7 seasons of Faceit, you have an undefeated champion. DhillPatos, the 3rd team, actually really the 4th team, to enter the playoffs undefeated. They're the first one to leave the playoffs undefeated as your grand finals champions. Oh, the DhillPatos org, or DhillDucks org, has to be celebrating the night. The Dillionaires are all around for them here. An incredible season capped off with an incredible grand finals as they are your champions.
Yeah, and that will do it right there. In Vlad Caminhoneiro, they go down swinging these last 2 maps. They do everything in their power to pull it back, but it's Burt who clutches up on the last fight, gets rid of 3 to finish things out. And it's such a good performance from this squad. And again, it's part of this core like Tizzy, Burt, and Wetube that have now gone back-to-back Grand Finals victories here in South American Faceit. It is such a good job from them. And honestly, this entire squad who's come into the season carrying this confidence and being able to do what a lot of teams really can't do when they reach the playoffs, and that's really show what they'd be able to do throughout the entire season and finish things as they should. So again, congratulations to DhillPatos. They're your Season 7 champions, but Vlog de Caminhoneiro, they fought back and they fought back hard.
Yeah, again, let's kind of focus on Vlog de Caminhoneiro here before we go back over to DhillPatos. A great season for Vlog de Caminhoneiro. Hunter, me and you talked about coming into this series here that at the start of the season, we recognized a lot of the names on this team. We knew how good they were, but we didn't know how good the team was going to be. But every time we saw this Vlog de Caminhoneiro team, they impressed us time after time after time again. I believe this is really the first time that we cast them all season that ends with a loss for them. And we cast them, I believe, 5 times throughout this season. This was a great team. This is a great team. If they stay together, they definitely have something for this DhillPatos team next season when that one comes up. But again, the individual performances from the players on Vlog de Caminhoneiro tonight were good, just not enough to get over the hump. So while they might be hanging their heads in defeat here, an incredible season for them ends here, sadly, though, in the grand finals with a loss. But I think they have a lot to look forward to going to next season.
I 100% think they do as well. This is a phenomenal squad that I think has a lot to look forward to when it comes to the future here for Faceit, or just future as a team in general. They have gone in and done something in this season that is really difficult to do, making it to these grand finals, because we see a lot of these underdogs get to go up against some of these Titan teams. And it's rare that we get a situation where we could probably genuinely say it's Titan versus Titan. In a scenario like this, throughout the entire season, they have been the 2 most dominant teams that finally meet in the playoffs. They go the absolute distance for 5 maps, and they go 5 maps again here, but it's a much different story. As for the first time, I feel like we've really seen Vlog de Caminhoneiro, they didn't get off to that good start, and it just ended up being punishing for the rest of that series.
Yeah, like I said, going into that map there, they needed to win the first point. They needed to win the first fight, and I really thought they needed to win the first point 100-0 to really keep that momentum up. Granted, lost it 100-0, but then they go back on the second point, and they have a really good fight there. Win that one 100-0. Third point goes 99-99. Not able to win it there. It just kind of fell apart there at the end for them. Again, I understand they might not be happy with this result. They might be hanging their heads right now, but they have a bright future to looking forward to next season, especially if this core stays together, because I think they could be a problem next season in South America. But now, Hunter, over to our champions. Like I said, the history makers here in South American Faceit Masters here. First team ever to go undefeated, 10-0 in the regular season, 3-0 in the playoffs. You're 13-0 champions here right now. Again, it's record breaking. They're setting a standard here now. Again, we talked about the core from Factor X last season, still kind of here. Yeah, they lost a couple, but they immediately added some incredible talent this season here, and they fit together perfectly. If this team stays together, Hunter, next season, they might be able to run it back, because right now they're running a pretty good match win streak.
I 100% think so as well. This is, again, we talk about like the core that has really stuck together out of everyone on here, and obviously that being Tizzy, Burt, Wetube. And they have such a level of synergy with each other now that it's really hard to match that with any team. And I think the closest to do it really was Vlog de Caminhoneiro. Again, it's one of only 2 teams that pushed them to the absolute limit. You saw it be done earlier in the season by Cosmos, who pushed them over to a map 5 situation. So at the end of the day, I am proud of what both these teams have been able to do, and these are a lot of names that, honestly, I think you have a really good chance of seeing when we get into the World Cup here pretty soon. And Dex, you have a big old smile on your face over there, and I can't say I'm not curious.
Well, no, not. There's one person in my chat saying that MVP should be Silks here. That's an interesting question. like, who is the MVP in this series for these two teams? Because for just DhillPatos, I think everyone played excellently. I feel like it's easy to say Tizzy because they played so consistently throughout the entire series. I think you could really make a conversation there for Soaks, Wedtube, Ludwig, Burt, definitely as well. It'd be really interesting to see what everyone thinks, especially if you follow the South American Overwatch Twitter there, because I know they'll put up a vote there for who the MVP should be. Unfortunately, one player for DhillPatos will be left out of that vote. It's going to be interesting to say who they think it will be, but oh man, like, you could go to the support line. You really easily could. I almost want to give it to Burt.
Burt's also in my mind right now because it's obviously, it feels like almost everyone really deserves it in this situation. But you look in who's been the most clutch in a lot of these situations, where when you saw Vlog de Caminhoneiro really fighting back, I feel like Burt was the biggest proponent of them being shut down in fights that they probably should have won. And I mean, that goes to say it at the end as well. You saw the big cleanup from both Burt and Ludwig there to finish things out. But I mean, I'm happy to give it to Burt. I'm happy to give it to anybody on this lineup. I think everyone played their gourds out tonight, and they should be absolutely proud of what they done. And I know everyone on this team is proud. I know Redder is especially proud. It's
too straight for Redder.
Yeah, and it's his third appearance trade as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Redder's starting to become one of those coaches here in South America. We've already seen him kind of move over to North America as well. Granted, didn't have the best season here this season in Faceit Masters, but I believe if he's there next season, gonna have a really, really good season. But Redder has been, again, a really good coach here these last couple seasons in South America. But again, we'll move past the MVP talk here. But everyone on this roster played incredibly. Lore and Noel did not play tonight, but again, we talked about them highly throughout the season when we saw them. We talked about them basically being able to kind of be mix and match in here, being able to come sub in and kind of just pick up right where the other person left off. Didn't see them here tonight, but those two are also champions of the South American region.
Yeah, and they deserve it. They played their respective maps throughout the season as well to help them get to this point. And again, I'm going to double down on a point that on both teams, honestly, this is talent that you are going to likely see be represented in these World Cup teams coming up here very soon. We've already seen people like Wedtube and Tizzy playing show matches for their respective regions as well, but you're going to make a case for almost anybody on this entire two rosters to be in that situation. Obviously, that's going to be a little further down the line as to when we confirm something like that. But I think everyone in here played their gourds out, and I think there's so many good contenders to fill up some of these teams that it's going to be really exciting to see how they end up forming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think me and you had a lot of questions. We're talking about OWWC stuff right now, about the Argentinian team that Tizzy is a part of going into it, because we saw a lot of the Argentinian players here this season, and granted, some of them were on some of the teams that really struggled. But Argentina went out there and beat Costa Rica, who me and you had really looked at being the best team that we had seen so far, and they beat them handily. That Argentinian team in South America is going to be one we're going to have to watch here, especially as a lot of the committees are now being announced. Granted, it looks like they've started in EU with the committees. We'll hopefully get here in South America, because we know Brazil has 3 incredible applications in there for it, and it would be great to see any one of them get picked. But we know a couple of the other countries there only really have one, so we kind of already know what to expect from. But that is another story for another time when we cover Overwatch World Cup friendlies and potentially maybe some qualifier games a little bit down the line here. But it's gonna be fun to see these teams, because while that stuff is going on, season 8, I mean, probably gonna be starting up around the time that we really see the Overwatch World Cup stuff get into full swing as well.
Yeah, I believe the initial date is about a month from now in terms of season 8. I believe it's March 14th, if I'm not mistaken. It's March 15th is when things properly get going. And obviously, we'll see where things form from there. We're probably going to see some new teams come into the situation. Maybe we form back into the open division as well if we get enough. Obviously, it's a situation where we have to wait and see what's going to happen, because there's definitely a lot of teams that we've seen in CGL as well that haven't gone and played in the season of Faceit, and maybe those are teams that we see debut. There's a Zenith team that's playing over there right now that looks fantastic. Obviously, that former Pumas team that is everyone's kind of taking their little break right now. Maybe we see that reform in some senses. It's going to be exciting to see, But of course, right now, it's a little bit bittersweet because while we have these show matches coming to form soon, while we have Season 8 coming to form soon, it's going to be quiet for a little bit here. Makes me sad on the inside because y'all have been an absolute joy to be around, not just the last couple of months, but what is coming up on closer to a year now, being able to see what y'all can do in this region and all the support y'all have given. Y'all have been an absolute treat to be around.
Yeah, again, we're not going to get too sentimental on it, but me and Hunter originally covered the first grand final for CGL for South America, and it immediately turned us on to this region so much that we wanted to start covering and Faceit. Luckily for us, Faceit started the next week. So we immediately signed up and started doing Faceit because of South America. And it's been a blast, especially, like you said, Redder has been amazing to us. William Mundy, Senju has been amazing to us. Gala and a lot of other people have really helped us be able to cover this region as much as we possibly can. And we can't thank the players enough. They've been really fun. And like you said, Hunter, I hope to see a lot of those other teams that kind of took a little bit of a break this season come back next season, because I would love to see the Open tier back. I would love to see the Masters tier be as competitive as it was here again, because this was by far maybe the most competitive season of Masters tier that we've had seen in South America in the 3 seasons that me and you have covered it.
Yeah, I think I'd be in pretty heavy agreement in that situation. So I'm excited where things are going to go from here with some of these teams forming, all these players hopefully coming back. And I'm excited to see where things go from there. But I would love to sit here as I'm a sentimental kind of man. That's just how I am. But we can't sit here forever and do that.
Yeah, for a long time. But eventually people are going to get tired of us.
They will get tired of us. I guarantee it. But I'll say it one final time. We appreciate y'all coming out for the grand finals here for the South American tier here for Faceit League. Obviously, it goes without saying, we will be back here in the future for Season 8. We have a little bit of LCQ business potentially to deal with here in a short little while for North America. But obviously, we will cross that bridge when we get to it. But thank y'all for being here, coming out for this fantastic game. Everybody, have yourself a great night. We will see you later for some more Faceit League action. Take care.